Why does society dictate what you find attractive? What invisible forces subtly shape your deepest desires, often without your conscious awareness? And why do we so rarely question them, accepting these constructs as inherent truths? Most conversations about sexuality are either crudely sensationalized or childishly censored, leaving us with a shallow understanding of something so fundamental to human experience. But beneath the surface, a complex web of social, historical, and psychological mechanisms actively governs our intimate lives. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden architecture, exploring how societies throughout history and into the present have meticulously engineered the very fabric of our desires. The journey reveals not only how much of what we consider personal is actually political, but also hints at a shocking truth about our own agency that will challenge everything you thought you knew about freedom. From ancient civilizations, the regulation of sex was rarely about individual pleasure. It was a powerful tool for social order, lineage, and resource management. In ancient Rome, sexual acts were permitted within a framework that preserved the family structure and male dominance, linking desire directly to civic duty and social hierarchy. Similarly, many early religious texts explicitly outline sexual conduct, not merely as moral imperatives, but as foundational pillars for community stability and control over property. Marriage, procreation, and the concept of legitimate offspring were central, often to the exclusion of other forms of desire. This wasn't about suppressing desire entirely, but about channeling it into socially approved, productive avenues. Imagine a society where every intimate choice you made had immediate, visible consequences for your social standing and even your survival. This historical blueprint laid the groundwork for the intricate control systems we still navigate today. As societies evolved, particularly with the rise of Abrahamic religions, the control shifted from pragmatic social order to a more internalized moral framework. In medieval Europe, sexual desire outside of procreation became intertwined with sin, spiritual damnation, and eternal judgment. Confessionals and community surveillance enforced a rigid code, fostering guilt and shame as primary mechanisms of control. Then came the Victorian era, an epoch of unparalleled sexual repression in Western culture. Public discourse erased sexuality, while private lives were policed by an unspoken, pervasive morality that demanded chastity, modesty, and the denial of unnatural desires. Women, especially, bore the brunt of these expectations, their bodies and desires tightly constrained. These periods didn't just regulate actions, they began to colonize the inner world, teaching individuals to censor their own thoughts and feelings. But how exactly did these external prohibitions become such powerful internal censors? The power of societal control over sex isn't merely through laws or public shaming. It's through the insidious internalization of these norms, manifesting as profound personal shame. From a young age, we absorb subtle and explicit messages about what is good, bad, normal, or abnormal in the realm of desire. These messages, often communicated through media, family, and peer groups, create an inner critic, a censor residing within our own minds. This psychological mechanism can lead to self-policing, repression, and a deep-seated fear of judgment, even when no one is watching. It explains why many individuals struggle to articulate their desires, feel isolated in their experiences, or even deny parts of themselves. This isn't just about suppressing actions, it's about altering the very experience of self, creating a disconnect between authentic desire and socially acceptable expression. But what happens when these deeply ingrained rules clash with our innate human drive for connection and intimacy? Many believe desire is an inherent, purely biological drive, but sociology reveals a more nuanced picture. While the capacity for desire is innate, its specific forms, objects, and expressions are profoundly shaped by culture. What we consider attractive, erotic, or even normal is largely a social construct, learned through observation, narrative, and interaction. Think about the changing ideals of beauty, or the shifting acceptance of different relationship structures across centuries and cultures. These are not biological shifts, but sociological ones. Society doesn't just put a fence around desire, it actively sculpts its contours. It tells us not only what we can't do, but also more subtly what we should desire, who we should desire, and even how we should experience it. This makes us question, how much of our personal desire is truly ours, and how much is a reflection of the collective narratives we've absorbed? In the modern age, the mechanisms of control have become even more sophisticated, often cloaked in the guise of freedom and self-expression. Media, advertising, and the entertainment industry relentlessly churn out idealized images of beauty, success, and perfect relationships. These manufactured fantasies don't just sell products, they subtly dictate what is desirable, who is worthy of desire, and how one should perform intimacy. Social media, in particular, creates echo chambers of curated perfection, pressuring individuals to conform to certain aesthetic and relational standards, often at the expense of genuine connection. The commercialization of sex, far from liberating it, often repackages control in consumerist terms, turning desire into another product to be bought, sold, and refined according to market trends. We're beginning to see how deeply embedded these controls are, but the truly surprising part is how subtly they've evolved, from overt prohibition to insidious persuasion, making them harder to identify and resist. Every society draws lines, often invisible, between what it deems normal and deviant in the realm of sexuality. These classifications are rarely based on universal truths, but on cultural consensus, historical accident, and power dynamics. Behaviors once condemned might later be celebrated, and vice versa. This societal policing of normality affects everything from sexual orientation and gender identity to specific practices and relationship forms. Those who fall outside the normal are often stigmatized, marginalized, or even punished, creating immense pressure to conform. This mechanism ensures that the dominant sexual narrative remains unchallenged, reinforcing existing power structures and moral frameworks. It's a powerful tool for social cohesion, but it comes at a profound cost to individual authenticity and the rich diversity of human experience. Understanding how these boundaries are constructed is the first step toward critically evaluating them. If society's grip on our desires is so pervasive, can we ever truly reclaim our sexual agency? This question brings us into the philosophical realm of freedom and authenticity. To what extent can we disentangle our genuine desires from the layers of societal conditioning? It requires a conscious, often difficult, process of self-inquiry, distinguishing between what we genuinely want and what we've been taught to want. It's about recognizing that sexual freedom isn't merely the absence of external prohibitions, but the presence of self-knowledge and the courage to live authentically, even in defiance of unspoken norms. This isn't a call for hedonism, but for integrity, for aligning our inner landscape with our outward expressions, with respect for ourselves and others. This pursuit of authentic desire is a profound act of liberation, challenging centuries of social conditioning and reclaiming the very essence of our intimate selves. The relentless societal control over sex, while often intended to maintain order, extracts a heavy toll on individuals and relationships. It can lead to widespread repression, anxiety, shame, and an inability to form deep, authentic connections. When individuals are forced to suppress their true desires, whether due to fear of judgment or internalized guilt, it creates a psychological schism, fostering isolation and mental distress. This suppression often manifests in unhealthy ways, from addiction to emotional detachment. Furthermore, a society that rigidly dictates sexual norms stifles innovation, diversity, and the natural evolution of human intimacy, preventing richer, more inclusive forms of relating. The cost isn't just personal, it's societal, impacting collective well-being and the capacity for genuine empathy. So, what's the path forward if we're to understand our true selves and build a society that embraces the complexity of human desire without falling into chaos? We've journeyed through history, psychology, and sociology to uncover how deeply societies control sex and shape our desires. From ancient laws of procreation to the modern algorithms of attraction, the mechanisms are subtle, pervasive, and often invisible. Recognizing these forces isn't about blaming society, but about empowering ourselves to critically examine our own desires and the narratives we've inherited. The ultimate challenge lies in discerning what truly resonates with our authentic self versus what has been imposed. While understanding these mechanisms is crucial, the real work of freedom begins when we start to explore the nuances of power dynamics within desire itself. In our next exploration, we'll delve into the fascinating concept of erotic capital and how it plays into social power dynamics, influencing everything from personal relationships to career advancement. Subscribe now to continue this